Andrea James, FreeHer podcast, all things ending incarceration of women and girls. Here, special edition in Puerto Rico, celebrating our seventh FreeHer conference. It's all about healing. It's all about well-being of our people. And we are so proud and so happy to have with us Brother Ray Harts, founder and executive director of Healthy Hearts Institute, a health and wellness nonprofit enterprise located in Pittsburgh, California. His work centers around empowering individual and community transformation using a holistic approach to improve health outcomes. Welcome. We're here in Puerto Rico at the FreeHer conference. The conference theme this year is all about healing, the wellness of our people. I want to talk a little bit about your life prior to founding this organization. Um, where did you think about for the first time doing the work that you're currently doing?
Yeah, my first time I thought about, first of all, thank you for having me to be here. You said this is the seventh one, and I think about seven, the number of fullness and completion. And so I feel like this is where I'm supposed to be. Thank you for inviting me to be here and to share this conference with you. Yeah, I first thought about Healthy Hearts Institute on a level 4 prison yard in 2006. I can remember lying on my bunk during the 10-year sentence, did 8.5, but I was saying I was going to get out. I was going to have to work for myself. No one was going to hire me. And so I started thinking about what is it that I'm passionate about, because I got to start my own organization. And so that's health and wellness was the first thing that came up to mind. And I think that I always think back, why was it health and wellness? And I remember being a kid and my dad used to be in and out of the county jail. And when I used to come home, he used to be ripped. He used to look like a superhero. And I can remember him grabbing stop signs and sticking his feet out like a flag, and making his chest jump up and down. And so at like 6 years old, I can remember trying to be like my dad and him telling me, man, if you want to be able to do your chest like this, you got to do push-ups with your feet on the chair. And so at a young age, I started like trying to exercise. And then also remember my neighborhood. My great-great-grandmother used to take us out to this city, Brentwood. It was a farming area. And we used to go out there and pick strawberries and pick peaches and pick peas. And I remember doing that as a kid. So I had this gardening, farming mentality or experiences, and then seeing my dad physically fit, I think that's what drove my passion for health and wellness. And so when I think about that, it's like it must have came from somewhere, and I'm thinking it may have came from there. But
Well, how do you hold on to that idea, that vision in a level 4? Like, what is it like? And how did that experience help to shape even further your desire and your drive to create health and well-being, knowing that you were eventually going to come home? What was that like to hold on to that vision? Were there things that you were able to do or things that you were able to think of or to design while you were inside of the prison that you brought out with you and that gave you the drive to want to make sure that you made this a reality?
yeah, so while I was there, like I knew I was getting out. I didn't have, well, look, just because I didn't have a life sentence didn't mean I was going to get out. Like that's just the truth of it, right? And so I had hope to get out. I felt like I was getting out. So again, it was like, what was I going to do? So I started educating myself. I started reading business books, business magazines, whatever I could find about business. I just started engulfing myself with it. I went to school, got my associate of arts degree once I got transferred to San Quentin, which was a level 2. So when my points came down, I went to a level 2 yard in San Quentin, and they got a bunch of programs there. And so I just used that time there to educate myself. So one of the things that really helped me, so when you think about preparing myself, that's what I did. I just prepared myself, educated myself. That's the only way through. But also doing some self work. right? Thinking about how did I get into that situation? Because I went down at 30 years old. So I'm grown, right? But I was still doing things that I had no business doing at 30. But what led up to that, right? And it was the environment I grew up in. Like I said, my dad was in and out of county jail. I seen guns, drugs, I saw all of that. In the 80s, 90s, as a teenager, I got involved with selling drugs. That was crack, the crack era, right? So I was involved in it as a teen. And then, I look at what got me into prison. And I knew that I couldn't go back to living any type of criminal lifestyle because I went to prison for voluntary manslaughter. I felt like if I catch any more cases, I'm done. I'm gonna be there forever. And so I felt like I didn't have a choice, right? I had to make this work. I had to be able to work for myself. And so that's what really made me think about what I was doing with myself. How was I going to reinvent myself to give myself the best opportunity?
Tell me about your organization now, Healthy Hearts Institute. What do you do with Healthy Hearts Institute, and what are the opportunities for community and for health and well-being that you're creating?
Yeah, so the vision, the ultimate vision is to help people live longer, healthier, more socially connected, and civically engaged lives. I think that's the pillar. I think that's what everybody wants to be, live longer and healthier, right? And so the way I'm trying to accomplish that is through the holistic approach, right? So we have a community garden and an urban farm. So we're growing healthy foods right in the neighborhood that I grew up in. It's a low income housing development. So it's 2 acres out there. We're using an acre of it to grow food right for the community. They can come out and get it whenever they want. Something I'm super proud of is that we just partnered with John Muir Healthcare Center, and they're going to bring a mobile health clinic to the neighborhood, so the uninsured can get see a doctor for free if they're uninsured. So that's something I'm super happy about. These health benefits. So food access is one thing, medical care is another thing, but it's also stress management through meditation and mindfulness, getting centering ourselves, and then understanding what nutrition is, what's good nutrition, eating healthy, then physically active, living an active lifestyle. And then caring for the environment as well, and the soil, thinking about climate change.
Yeah,
And
what is that connection? Talk to me a little bit about that because that's part of your work, raising awareness about not only the health and well-being of human beings, but the health and well-being of the soil. Why is the soil so important to us?
well, the soil is life. That's where all the life is. Like you have soil and you have dirt. Nothing grows in dirt, but in soil where that life is, that's where everything is. That's life. That's where the nutrients come from. And so, not only that, it also combats climate change. Right? You can do carbon sequestration, so you could take carbon out of the sky by having plants. We all grew up hearing about planting trees and all the oxygen, but the trees also take carbon out of the air and put it in the ground, so it stores the carbon, so it doesn't warm up the planet. So there's a lot of side benefits of taking care of the soil and putting stuff into the soil. But yeah, the soil is life. Look, I think about America, right? I'm gonna say this. Think about America. America was built using stolen indigenous land and bodies of enslaved Africans. That's how this country was built, through stolen land and slave bodies, right? And if they can build a country around that from the soil, right, then we can use the soil and our bodies to build our communities. And so that's kind of what I look at.
I think it's beautiful. We always say as we work to close women's prisons, to end incarceration of women and girls and everyone else, but we unapologetically focus on women and girls. We always say that police and prisons don't create healthy, thriving communities. Healthy, thriving people do. And I think that what you've done and what is so moving about your work and why we wanted to invite you to come into community with us as women working to create this audacious reach this audacious goal of ending incarceration of women and girls is because we need all these ideas that aren't just focused on fighting a system, but creating new healthy systems within our community. And that's what you've done. And I think it's very beautiful work. I think it's necessary work. We have so much to learn from you. We do a process called Reimagining Communities because we don't believe that the prisons, as much as we're trying to eradicate them, it's not going to happen next year. And so, what are the things that we can do to, for lack of a better expression, to gut our people out of these systems and creating healthy, thriving people will create healthy, thriving communities. And you're doing this in the housing development that you grew up in. I think that is amazing and beautiful. And I just want to ask you, is there anything more that you want to talk about in regard to the importance of this work?
For FreeHer, well, I think about so two things. Health and wellness is big. When you're in a low income community, poverty or whatever, they say it was a City Lab article I always cite, but they say poverty takes points off of your IQ, like 13 points. They compare someone that's living impoverished to an alcoholic, just the stress of living in that situation. And they don't think about ways to become healthier or to change their status in life. And so the one way to combat that is to think about the four things that we need in life, right? And so we can have this abundance mindset is what I'm getting at. So you need four things. You need food, shelter, water, and fire, right? Once those things are met, everything else is in abundance, right? And if we start taking these people that's in these low income neighborhoods and start talking about the abundance that they have and not looking at what they don't have, but look at what they do have, then hopefully it can change their mindset and think about like I can be healthy and I can make some changes in my own community without all the glitz and glamour. Just make some things work and then we can be healthier. So I think I don't know if that answers your question,
It
but
did. And thank you. I want to say thank you so much. It's Ray Harts, founder and executive director of Healthy Harts Institute, a health and wellness nonprofit enterprise located in Pittsburgh, California. I want to say thank you. We look forward to staying connected, working on reimagining communities together. We've just invested in some hydroponic farms because where we're from, it gets cold and we can't grow fresh produce. But, there's always a solution for everything. And so thank you for providing fresh produce for food, healthy food to our people in Pittsburgh, California. Thank you for the health clinic that you are about to open, giving us all kinds of great ideas about how we can, expand that as well. And so I want to just say thank you very much for all that you're doing, Mr. Ray Harts. I appreciate you being here at FreeHer.
thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you,
Appreciate it.
sir.